says, the next day they found him in the temple, seated among the teachers, listening to them and asking questions. The teachers were all quite taken with him, impressed with the sharpness of his answers. His parents were not impressed, but they were upset and hurt. His mother said, "Young man, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been half out of our minds looking for you." He said, "No, mistress, why are you looking for me? Didn't you know that I had to be here? I had to be here.
Well,
Dealing with the things of my father." They had no idea what he was talking about. So he went back to Nazareth with them and lived obediently with them. His mother held these things dearly deep within herself. Jesus ensured growing up in both body and spirit, blessed by both God and people. There's a few scattered words to use for our subject this morning. Fixated on purpose. Fixated on purpose. Fixated on purpose. A fellow by the name Rick Warren was born January 28, 1954 in San Jose, California. Later in life, this American pastor founded Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, California in 1980 and held their first service that Easter day. One point in time, Saddleback Church occupied about 20,000 members, in which they conducted 6 Sunday morning services at 10 locations on their 120-acre campus. Expansion of ministry was impeccable. 2002, when his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, debuted, that I would say personally, Warren became one of the most influential evangelical Christians in the United States. In 6 years of its publication, the book sold approximately 25 million copies. Work was so potent that it even found itself in the hands of members of President George W. Bush administration and his officials. Purpose-driven life inspires people to ask, in many cases, the unclear question, what am I here for?
all right.
Explains the blessing of being thought of for God's pleasure, molded for God's family, engineered to become like Christ, critiqued for serving God, and created for a mission. Church, Pastor Warren takes a biblical model, taking 40 days to shape new patterns for Christian ministry, and divides his book into 40 chapters. He develops this piece to help every reader understand in a more pronounced way God's purpose in their life. Warren makes it clear that purpose of life runs deeper than personal success or what you consider happiness to be. That in order to fulfill life's assignment, you prioritize working with and for the giver of life over selfish desires. So many words. The author says the purpose of our life is, number one, here it is, to worship God. That you exalt, honor, and adore him in every aspect of your being. This would include surrendering your life while helping others to do the same. Number two, the purpose of our life is for God's church. That because God is love, we too should value relationships. And it's through our learning to embrace the adopted members of God's family here on earth that we prepare for that eternal community in heaven. Yeah. Number three, the purpose of our life, in his book, states to progressively look more and more like Christ and reflect God's character. It's by this process that we become disciples of Jesus Christ. Number four, one I really want to highlight today, purpose of our life is for service. We don't just spend our days just living out our claimed goals or dreams, but that we intently take on the challenge of serving God in a more excellent way. The love, I didn't come to shout you today, but to help somebody understand their purpose or to shift and move in that direction. Because it's when we find and understand our purpose in life that we begin living. One of my favorite quotes, you've heard it before, and you'll continue to hear it. It falls off the lips of Howard Thurman. He says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world is in need of is people who've come alive. And I'm no psychologist, but I believe one of the reasons this world has gone crazy, cold, and uninterested is because of their ignorance of purpose. Then leaves us dealing with the tragedy of multiple generations walking around dead. No life in their eyes. A shell of themselves, all because they have no idea why they were created. Thus we have dead parents raising dead kids. Dead men leading dead families. Wealthy but dead. Holding positions but dead. Admired by many but dead. Singing in the choir of the praise team but dead. A leader in the church but dead. Smiles every time you see them but dead. Living their best life on social media but dead. Never misses a Sunday service but still dead. Extensive list of accolades and degrees but dead. Successful but dead. Mounting pulpits, gifted in their delivery but still dead. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the suicide rate for kids ages 10 to 14 has nearly tripled in the last decade. And I'm sorry, but this makes me ask the question, could this be because we've conditioned a stillborn generation into believing their only purpose in life is to get money, wear tight clothes, stay dangerous, act reckless and ratchet, and do whatever makes them happy? On the other side of the issue, we wonder why people spend their entire life, blood, sweat, and tears trying to fill a void that they're unaware of where it originated from. Church, I'm here to tell you, money, horizontal love, and worldly gain cannot take the place of God's purpose in your life. Jesus understood this. In our text today, we find him fixated on purpose. We search biblical Netflix, we land on a popular series recorded by the gospel writer Luke. We begin this journey hand in hand on a walk that Dr. H.L. Wilmington calls Step 2 in our Redeemer's 72-step journey from glory to glory. Verses 25 through 40 puts us about a month or so following the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Count that Mary and Joseph practiced integrity and are obedient to the regulations and commands of their context. They are headed to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices. See, reference to Leviticus chapter 12, verses 1 through 8, it was necessary to sacrifice a pair of doves or 2 pigeons for the sake of purifying mothers after childbirth. Some scholars suggest their offering assumed that they were financially struggling because they could not offer a lamb as the preferred additional sacrifice. Nevertheless, they obeyed the command that the eldest male child was indeed possession of the Lord. Jesus, during this frame was small in stature, but enormous in power and purpose. He arrives on a divine schedule at the temple and bumps into a man named Simeon. This pious Jew is suspected by many to be the same mentioned in the Talmud as the father of Gamaliel. The Bible calls this man just and devout, which means he conformed to the rules of God, reverencing the Creator and his promises. Simeon had the Holy Ghost and promised that he would not see the inside of a casket until his eyes witnessed the face of Jesus Christ. It being revealed to him who Jesus was, Simeon's travel plans for his departure are now fulfilled. He first breaks into a stanza of Old Testament implications which celebrates that the Messiah is not only seen. So many words, he says, the ways of business are over, obsolete, old news. He gives us a sermonic selection highlighting 3 points. He says, he announces that by way of Jesus, salvation has come. Then he steals an expression from a passage in Isaiah, calling our Savior a light to the Gentiles and the glory to the people of Israel. Using Kojic and apostolic language, he taps into the prophetic, claiming that a sword will pierce the soul of Mary, referring to the anguish and devastation she will suffer that dark Good Friday. Continue skipping down this 72-step expedition, we see Simeon wasn't the only one waiting on the entry of our champion. Anna, the prophetess, had been earnestly praying for the coming of mankind's only hope as well. Church, don't miss this. This is noteworthy news because there is something unique, hear me, anointed and desperately needed that is buried in the innermost compartment of who you are. Your purpose. And even though it may lie dormant and undeveloped in an adolescent stage, there are people who have been praying and waiting for your arrival. There are people who you recognize and people who you don't even know that stand in expectation of your purpose coming to fruition. They've been praying for your gift to be exercised. They've been waiting for you to start the nonprofit that will assist in rearranging the fragmented ruins of our society. They've been waiting for you to walk in what God has called you to do. They've been waiting for your word of hope and encouragement. They've been waiting for you to do what you've been afraid to do because it's going to take faith to do it. Your dreams and goals aren't just to satisfy your accomplishments. People are waiting on you. They're waiting for you to start whatever it is God placed on your heart to start. They're waiting for you to lead, for you to be pastor, for you to write the book, for you to write the poem, for you to put together that song. They're waiting for the next politician that has a good heart, equal intentions, and love Jesus Christ. They're waiting for you to start the organization that addresses starvation, racism, poverty, sex trafficking, disease of depression, and mental matriculation for our babies. Let me tell you this. Your purpose doesn't expire when you turn 65 and retire and your kids are grown. Nor does it only apply when you reach the legal limit of 21. God has purpose for you. It cannot be forfeited by mistakes. People are waiting for you to tap into your purpose. What you internalize might just be an answer to a prayer that has echoed in the chambers of heaven for decades. Here it is, verse 41. The Bible says, now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast, and when they had fulfilled the days, they returned the child. Jesus tarried behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother knew not of them. Luke sets the scene at the temple. The atmosphere reeking of piety. Mary and Joe, as their normal practice, are attending the feast of Passover, with Jesus tagging along as a newcomer because he is not of age to join in this ritual. It was law that every male Jew be present at 3 annual festivals in Jerusalem each year. This particular event was about 7 days long and celebrated the emancipation from Egypt. Family stays the appropriate amount of days, but Jesus, age 12, in his final year prior to his bar mitzvah, stays longer. See, in a year or so, he would transition into manhood, becoming an adult Jewish male, accountable for himself and preserving of Israel. The Bible says, but they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey. They saw him among their kinfolk, acquaintances, and when they found him not, turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him. This, I know, ruffles some feathers because it suggests that purpose cannot be found in a place of comfortability. They were looking for Jesus amongst family and friends. I've stopped by to tell you, you can't locate purpose in the place you expected it to be. Purpose shakes things up. It jars you from the routine of normalcy. You'll find purpose in places you never thought or imagined. Purpose causes you to question the location and climate of God in your life. It will have you asking questions like, God, are you sure? You chose me? Am I hearing you correctly? Purpose redirects the trajectory you've been traveling in. Purpose really isn't purpose if it doesn't contradict what you want to do. In fact, your purpose will fuel your desire to revisit yourself and your relationship with Christ. It's right there in the text. The Bible goes on to say, and it came to pass after 3 days, found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. All that heard were astonished at his understanding and answers. They saw him, they were amazed. His mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou this dealt with us? Hold thy father, and I have sought thee, saying. After 3 days, the Bible says, one day journeying home, one day returning back to Jerusalem, and one day searching for him in the city. The Bible says they found him in the temple. See, the porches or spaces in the temple provided classrooms, if you will, for teaching. We assume because the proximity of conclusion of this great feast and the fact that Jerusalem was the headquarters of Jewish religion, there were probably some real influential Jewish teachers present in the temple. Per their usual method of teaching, they would sit around in their context, conducting a two-way street of asking and answering questions. And all that heard him were, the Bible says, astonished. That word literally means to be beside oneself. He was distinguished in how he answered and asked questions. And child of God, this corrects all negative thinking that something is wrong with you because you stand out. Don't miss this. See, purpose separates you from other people. You don't believe me? Joseph, Jacob's son, was full of purpose. Hated by his brothers, but favored by his father. Purpose distinguished David from his brothers, who the prophet thought were more fitting for the position of king. Even Jesus Christ, who carried the ultimate purpose, arrived on the landscape of earth differently, conceived by the Holy Spirit. Purpose, child of God, with no effort, causes you to stand out. You live different. You work with intentions of fulfilling the assignment. When you have purpose, you function with a sense of urgency. When you have purpose, you don't allow foolish people or situations to distract or deter you, because you don't have time for that. You've got purpose. People see you in a different light when you're chasing after purpose. Failure or mistakes don't discourage you as readily as others because you've got purpose. You wake up with purpose on your mind in the morning and go to bed wrestling with the excitement of purpose in your heart. You aren't dragging through days like some other people, but purpose gives you energy to keep on pushing, keep on going, keep on striving, keep on fighting, keep on going when folks have told you to give up. Purpose will fuel your passion. Bible then says in verse 49, he said, why were you looking for me? Didn't you know? I like the King James Version. Didn't you know I had to be about my Father's business? Those words that I had to, or that I must, is translated inevitable. Jesus says, there was no way, you were looking for me, but there was no way I could not be about my purpose. That's what it says in the text. It was inevitable that I would not be in my Father's house conducting his business. He couldn't avoid purpose, is what he's really saying. Jesus, for the first time, declares he has orders to complete. He uses the same tone of imperativeness and similar verbiage in John chapter 9, verse 4, where he says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day, because night comes and no man can work. He says, I don't have a choice. Child of God, make no mistake. Purpose has to have a sense of urgency. You get up in the morning, you're preparing yourself for your day. Purpose should be on your mind. Feeling the will of God for your life should be at the forefront of your priority list. He says, be about my Father's business. His first words display a definitive understanding of his relationship to God as his true Father. See, Mary and Joe were entirely wrong in their exploration for Jesus amongst extended family. They weren't that wrong. They weren't that off course. They were just searching the wrong bloodline. All right. Child of God, don't make no mistake about it. Purpose is a gift from God, your Father. It's a jewel that he has put inside each and every one of us. It's centered around his agenda. It's birthed out of his will for your life. And you want to thank God right there, because aren't you so glad that God has put something on the inside of us? Some fashion or aspect, your purpose should somehow glorify God and make him famous to people who never experienced this saving love. Fixated on purpose, we lean into it, and purpose spills out on the world. Our relationship with the one true God is made public. Here it is, the Bible says, around verse 50, they understood not, saying which he spake unto them, and he went down with them and came to Nazareth, subject unto them. But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. Jesus increased in wisdom, stature, and in favor with God and man. I leave you with this point. People will not understand your purpose. Matter of fact, some don't even want to understand your purpose. They can't grasp that you are swelling with that much potential, that you're that intelligent, that you're that gifted, creative, daring. They can't understand how such a large responsibility has been subjected to your small hands. And your response, don't miss this, here's your shot for today. Your response to those individuals is this. Come on. Some of y'all got silence. Because you don't owe them that precious time of trying to convince people that God has impregnated fixate you with purpose. When you are so fixated on purpose, their opinion don't even matter. And you can ignore their comments and disapproval because God stamped you. God approved you. God prepared you. God gave you the business to be about. God equipped you. God saved you for such a time as this. God has affirmed you. Shout God, when you embrace and flourish in purpose, God blesses you to grow mentally. He stretches the longevity of your days. He matures you spiritually and broadens your territory and influence amongst men. So church, keep on living out your purpose. Keep on blooming where God has planted you in this season. Keep on lending whatever is needed to accomplish the Master's perfect will. Somebody in this world is counting on you to remain faithful to your marching orders. Commission used to sing a song that said, remember, only what you do for Christ will last. Keep on being about your Father's business. Keep on executing and walking in your purpose. The fact that you're still here today lets me know you still got purpose in the tank. That's something to celebrate this morning. You still got purpose. No matter what you've done or where you come from, you still have purpose. I'm reminded of that famous movie, Double Purple. You saw it. Brother Albert, in the beginning of the movie called Sealy, he said, what you gonna do? You're black, poor, and you're ugly. At the end of the movie, I like it though, because as Sealy is riding away, she said, I might be black, I might be ugly, but I'm still here. I come to encourage somebody here this morning, because you are still here. No matter what route you travel, you still got purpose. You didn't come from the high your neighbor, somebody around you encourage you and say, man, you still got purpose. Try your reaching out. Stick your chest out. Keep on doing working with God, because you still got purpose. Somebody else on that road said, man, keep on walking in purpose. Keep on doing the will of God. Keep on exercising what you put inside of us. Fixated on purpose. Fixated on purpose. Your focus, your vision. When you're writing out your 2020 goals for next year, I'm going to go vegan and lose 15 pounds. Put on some muscle and grow some hair back. Make sure you add to